Okay, welcome to our 30-minute Q&A session. I'm Ify, your go-to immigration lawyer. We're here again with Denise. Hi, Denise, our Spanish
Hi.
translator. We're discussing something very cool today. Come on in. We're discussing VAWA self-petitions, how to figure out if you are qualified to file a VAWA self-petition so you can get your green card and live permanently in the USA. So come on in, invite your friends, share this live so people can join us today and ask their questions relating to VAWA self-petition, which is based on abuse, if you've been abused by a U.S. citizen spouse. So come on in, let's do this.
Muy bien, bienvenidos adelante. Compartan este live con sus familiares, con sus amigos, para que vengan y hagan sus preguntas. Estamos aquí para hablar acerca de la petición para un VAWA, cómo calificar. Muy bien, adelante.
Sí, gracias. So today, before I get into the topic, as usual, I'm going to invite you all to give me a call, taking advantage of our 50% off consultations. This is happening throughout February. We're getting to the last week. I think this is the last week actually of February. So make sure you sign up right now to talk to me one-on-one. Let's have a consultation, talk about ways to get your green card, talk about a VAWA self-petition. If you're not sure if you qualify, if you've been going through some marital problems where you're not sure if it rises to the level of a VAWA self-petition, this is the best time to talk to me about it. So I'm excited. My link is going to be in the comments in my bio. Just somewhere around this video, you're going to find a link to reach me and my phone number as well. So excited to talk to you soon.
Muy bien, estamos entonces ya casi listos.
Sí. All right. So we're going to just get into the topic really quick because I want to make sure we have enough time for the Q&As afterwards. So we have 3 points today. We're going to discuss about VAWA self-petitions, discovering your eligibility, making sure that you meet all the requirements and that you can file without your U.S. citizen spouse being involved. This is just you doing it as self, okay? Self-petition, you're doing it by yourself. So we're getting into the 3 points today, and the main point is going to be relationship with abuser. That's going to be the first point. And also the most important thing, because if you don't have that relationship with the U.S. citizen, there's no VAWA case, okay? So point number 1, how to be eligible for a VAWA green card is to have the qualified relative, whether it be your spouse, whether it be your parent, whether it be your child, okay? Because VAWA self-petition is not just for a spouse, guys. It's for any non-immigrant who has been abused by a U.S. citizen or permanent resident relative, and they can prove that relationship, okay? Muy bien.
Muy bien, entonces el punto número 1 para probar que sí calificas a una petición de VAWA, esto es para cualquier persona que sufra un abuso por parte de un pariente que sea ciudadano de los Estados Unidos o residente permanente. Entonces, no importa, no tiene que ser solamente tu esposo, también puede ser tu hijo, puede ser tu padre o tu madre, por quien seas abusado, entonces eso te califica para un VAWA.
Sí, gracias. Very important to note because many immigrants, I'm an immigrant myself, so I hear this a lot with other immigrants I relate to, and plus as an immigration lawyer, when I'm talking to people during consultations, they do not realize that there's options for them to essentially get free from a very controlling, manipulative situation, all because this person filed a green card for you. So we hear things like threats of abuse, kicking you out the house, using your money without your permission, because it's like, I mean, what are you going to do? I gave you this green card, so I should get your money. We see that a lot of the time. So that's why whenever we're talking about VAWA, I'm very passionate about it, because you need to understand that your life should not revolve around a person who's treating you less than, who's not giving you the freedom of mind, because apart from having your green card, because there are different stages of this abuse. Some people get abused before they get the green card at all. Some people already have the green card and they're still having to pay bills for someone who's just basically who's forcing you to do it, right? Because it's different if you're helping out your relatives and doing things, but they force you to do it because they you're entitled, or they want you to feel entitled to them because they helped you get your green card. So that's the type of person we're trying to help here. If this sounds familiar to you, that you just know something doesn't feel right and you've been living with this relative and they filed your green card, whether you have the green card or not, whatever stage you're at in your immigration journey, there's a solution for you. So make sure you're reaching out to us with our number on there. And I'm going to move on to point number 2. Muy bien.
Muy bien, entonces aquí queremos marcar un punto muy importante. Este tipo de petición es necesaria cuando nos encontramos en una situación vulnerable de parte de un ciudadano americano y para recobrar nuestra libertad. Es importante poder seguir con nuestra vida, no dejar que nos abusen solamente por el hecho de que nos están ayudando a tener una green card. Es muy probable que el abuso sea económico, que estén usando tu dinero sin tu consentimiento. Eso tampoco se puede. Si tú estás ayudando es válido, pero si algo te están forzando, cuenta como abuso y tú puedes salir de esa relación abusiva por parte del VAWA, ¿ok? No dudes en contactarnos, aprovecha nuestro 50% de descuento y aquí estamos para apoyarte, ¿ok?
Sí, gracias. Before I get into point number 2, I see a question on TikTok, and thank you, Gail, for being here. I see a question already relating to the point I'm about to make. We're going to talk about evidence. How do you actually prove abuse, right? If it's not physical abuse, most of the time people don't know that they haven't been abused, and they're like, how do I even show that this person is always calling me names, always threatening divorce? Like, how do I put that into words? How can I prove this? So in point number 2, I'm going to discuss in detail the types of evidence you'll use, but Gail's question was just very specific about that. So I'm going to just take a pause now and answer that question while we're doing this. But at the end, we're definitely going to do more questions. Okay, so keep on asking your questions in the comments. I see some coming on YouTube. So we'll get into that as well. But Gail says, can you use threatening messages that were sent to you by your spouse as evidence? And Gail, thank you very much for saying that, because the short answer is yes. Yes, you can. Any evidence that shows those threatening words, or just basically anything that's just belittling you, calling you fat, calling you names, saying you're illiterate, you just came to this country to eat my money. These are actual examples of things I've heard from people during consultations. If you have any of those words in text, definitely take a screenshot and send it to your attorney, because that's great evidence to show the pattern of abuse in the relationship. That's not the only evidence you're going to have. This is just supporting. Okay, because if you say in your statement, which is one of the evidences, that my spouse usually threatens to divorce me, when you say that and you show the text message proving that makes it very solid evidence. Okay, so getting into the points for the Q&A, and I hope that helped you. Gail, give me a thumbs up if you got your answer, and if that helps you feel more confident about pursuing your self-petition. But for point number 2, in order to file a valid self-petition, you need to have the relative, and then the next thing you need to have is evidence of the abuse. Okay, how have I actually been abused in this relationship? Do you need to call the police? Is that a requirement? And that's a question I get all the time. And the answer to that is no. Even though police reports are great evidence, medical records, affidavits, statements from witnesses, some people who helped you with the abuse, shelter records, if you had to be kicked out of the home, because this happens pretty often with abuse, and you had to go to a shelter, those types of evidence will help you. Police report is not required, but any statement from a professional, from yourself, to show that this has been going on in collaboration with your text and your bank statements, all that, that's how you prove abuse for a valid self-petition. Does that make sense? Muy bien? I know I said a lot there, just, Just,
It's
you
okay.
know, yeah.
I'm just a little worried on the noise in my background, but hopefully everything
That's
works
okay.
out properly.
You're perfect. You know,
Thank
perfect.
you.
Gracias.
Muy bien, entonces, para nuestro punto número 2 de lo que necesitamos para calificar para un VAWA, tener la evidencia necesaria del maltrato. No siempre es necesario un reporte de policía, pero como en la pregunta anterior, los mensajes de abuso, de amenaza, de ofensas, llamarnos apodos que nos puedan hacer sentir menos o discriminarnos, todo eso cuenta para tener un caso sólido en un VAWA. Entonces, no siempre es necesario una declaración policial, pero si tienes testigos que puedan declarar a tu favor que hayan sido presentes en el abuso o una declaración de parte de tu terapista, también nos sirve. ¿Okay?
Sí, gracias. Thank you for that wonderful explanation. That point was very important. So that I just get passionate when it comes to VAWA self-petition. I'm just like, guys, no, you need to gather your evidence. In fact, before you contact an attorney, start gathering your evidence. Like, start writing down every day the little things that happen. If you're walking on eggshells, just feeling like this person is going to come home and blow up. Sometimes it may be related to substance abuse by your U.S. citizen spouse. Maybe there's no other form of abuse. Everything's all lovey-dovey, but when they go out drinking, they're an alcoholic. They come back and they're throwing things, and you just feel that fear. That is enough to show emotional abuse, because that puts you in a state of fight or flight constantly because you don't know what they're going to do, right? That's not something you need to deal with. You don't even have to divorce your abusive spouse to do a VAWA self-petition. That's another thing. A lot of the clients I've helped are still married to their spouses, still living at home with them, but the spouse is just not of the mental capacity to help them because of substance abuse. And in turn, because hurt people, right? You've heard that. People who are going through something will all, try to put that on you, especially in your position as an immigrant. You're at a disadvantage, okay? It's a disadvantage because you don't, what are your options if you were to divorce or leave that marriage? Is going to affect your legal stay. So that's where VAWA comes in. All right. I'll move on to point number 3, so we can just kind of go through that really quickly so we can have time to answer the questions, because I see more questions coming up. Is there any questions? Well, I see some questions. Is there anything we can add other than that? Denise, give us some.
I was actually looking at Donna Bless. She came in first for us, and she was asking
questions. Okay.
And she's saying she's preparing her VAWA case now, and thus she has to get letters from friends and family to do the declaration letter to support that she's having an actual VAWA case. So this is mostly what we were speaking about
right now. Yes.
From the friends, absolutely. I believe.
Yes. Donna bless. It's a great evidence when you have statements from witnesses, people who helped you, who basically supported you during this process. Like, if your friend picked you up the day you were out on the street and somebody picked you up, that person can write a statement to help you. So getting letters from friends and family is a great form of evidence you can use to show that you've been a victim of abuse. Okay, great question, and thanks for reading that for us, Denise. Definitely something to take note of, especially for those of you who don't have a lot of other evidence. If it's not physical abuse, like I said, you didn't call the police. It's usually like, who calls the police? When someone is like cursing you outside home, are you going to be like, oh, 911? Most likely not, right? So you're not going to call the police. And that's what the U.S. citizen is counting on. They want you to be scared of calling the police because you're out of status. So they're like, if you call the police, you're going to get deported, or I'm going to deport you, or something like that. But that's just all a lie. So call the police if you're in danger. And if you don't call the police, we can get statements from other people who helped you. Okay? Muy bien.
Bien, entonces sí, básicamente es reunir todas las pruebas. Si una persona se dio cuenta cuando tú estabas en la calle y te ayudó ese día, te recogió, te levantó, o alguien que te haya atestiguado directamente el abuso verbal o el abuso físico, eso siempre cuenta. Hay que tener todos nuestros papeles y nuestros testimonios en orden, ¿ok? Juntos.
Sí, gracias. I see more questions on TikTok, but let's talk about the final point. Then we can just get into the questions. I think Donna was just the one from YouTube. There's one from Facebook. We can read that one next, Denise. But let me talk about the final point. Puntos tres.
Punto 3, punto número 3.
Número tres, gracias, yes. So that's it. Point number 3, good moral character. This one is something that we don't discuss enough when it comes to about self-petition, but I'm glad that you all are here today to hear this because there are 7 requirements. The first 6 of them, you can usually meet those, especially if you're already in the USA, the abuse has been happening, great. But when it comes to good moral character, a lot of people overlook this one because as a victim, right, you're looking at yourself as a victim of abuse and you're like, anything else that I've done shouldn't really matter because I'm a victim of abuse. Valid point, but when it comes to getting a green card, remember, this self-petition is just one part to getting your green card. They're looking at your background as an individual to see if you even qualify for anything like this. Because if you yourself are an abuser, maybe you've been arrested for domestic violence at some point. Usually they look 3 years prior to this application. For citizenship, they look 5 years. So if within the past 3 years, you as the victim has also been committing crimes, especially crimes relating to domestic violence, you could get disqualified from a VAWA self-petition because the rule in law, just in general, is do not, what's the best way to say this? If you're a bad actor in any setting, if you just didn't act in good faith, you're just not going to qualify for benefits of any kind, regardless of whether it's immigration or just contract law or any type of law you're dealing with. If you're a bad actor, if you do something that's not in good faith and you want to try to claim a benefit or something afterwards, it's just not going to work. So with VAWA self-petition is the same thing. If you're a bad actor and you're coming to cry abuse, they're going to look at that, whatever it is that you've done. If it's something like, I don't know, petty theft because you were financially abused, you didn't have any money, and so you went and stole or something like that. That may be a little bit different from if you're like an abuser or if you kidnapped somebody or something. I'm just using extreme examples here, but that's what it's about. Good moral character as a VAWA applicant, you need to have that. You show that by going to get your police records from your state, or you can get FBI records where they do your fingerprints and figure out if you've been arrested before or anything like that. And once you can pass that, you're eligible to apply, you're qualified, you can apply for a self-petition. Okay? Gracias, Denise.
Muy bien, entonces el punto número 3 aquí es bien importante porque ante la ley tenemos que mostrar que somos un buen ciudadano y que somos aplicables para la petición de VAWA. Lo que consta de el carácter de buena moral es probar que nosotros somos un buen ciudadano, que no hemos cometido ningún delito, porque en realidad la regla general es para poder solicitar un beneficio por parte del gobierno es que tú no hayas sido el abusador. ¿Okay? En el tiempo pasado, ellos generalmente van a registrar tus récords de 3 años atrás, pero si vas a ser un ciudadano, van a ser hasta 5 años atrás. Entonces, el carácter de buena moral va a ser una carta que vas a obtener directamente desde la policía, en la estación de policía, y una vez que te la entreguen, ya con la evidencia, ya sabiendo identificar que si eres una víctima de VAWA, ahora sí tienes todo junto y podemos empezar tu caso de VAWA.
Gracias, very good. I hope you all are taking notes. Okay, share this live with your friends because this is a very important one that we just don't talk about enough. Just by hearing people's stories, when I talk to them, I'm like, have you ever heard of VAWA? They're like, no. I'm like, what? Haven't you been following me? Like, follow, like, share, because we need to get this out there to the world so people can get relief from their sufferings and get their green card, permanent residency. Even if you don't apply for your I-485, with an approved VAWA self-petition, you can apply for a work permit. So that's going to be some form of relief. So you can earn some money, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and build your life from there. That's the whole reason why we do this, why there's this. I think this VAWA thing is pretty recent. Like it started in the 90s when there was Hillary Clinton. She's actually the one that started it, because a lot of people will take advantage of immigrants and use them as, just bring someone from outside and start using them to work for you or just whatever.
Sounds like new slavery.
Yes, new slavery. Exactly. That's what was happening. And, immigrants with that disadvantage, you don't have papers. It's just like you're stuck. So that's why they came up with the self-petition to help people get unstuck. Some people are still scared. I hear stories like, oh, I don't want to put my spouse in trouble and so on and so forth. I'm like, girl, boy, because let me just say boy, because VAWA covers men and women, but so not just only women, but girl, we don't care if the person gets in trouble or not. They've been abusing you. You need to focus on yourself. You need to get your freedom and don't worry about what this other person is doing. Now, if your partner is maybe an alcoholic or abusing drugs or going through other mental health issues that indirectly affect you and your green card, they need to get help for that. That's still not a reason to pity them or feel bad about not wanting to do your self-petition, because it's like they need to take responsibility for their own healing while you take responsibility for your own healing. And that's what you're doing here. It's nothing against them. It's just really not about that. You've just been in the situation and you need to get yourself out. So that's the goal here. And I hope that you all are hearing this and you can take advantage of it. If you've never spoken to me before, I'm Ify. I'm a licensed immigration attorney here in Charlotte. I help all over the USA. I can help you with this. We just got a VAWA self-petition approved last month. That was like the longest one we ever had, but this was for a man. So I'm not sure if that's why it took that long, but with another client who was a lady with her 3 children, they got approved in 9 months. So this is real, guys. This works. They're free now. They're living their lives. This is aside from removal of condition waivers. Okay, this is just strictly getting your first green card. Like you've never had a green card before, getting your first green card based on a self-petition. So it's very possible, you guys. So anyways, entonces, let's know what you got, then we'll get into the questions.
Sí, muy bien. Entonces, pues realmente aquí es importante que no se sientan, porque muchas veces tenemos casos en los que por no querer afectar al ciudadano americano o a la pareja, nos da miedo llenar una solicitud de VAWA. En realidad, no es que no nos importe completamente la parte del abusador, pero si tú estás sufriendo como emigrante, realmente tú eres la persona más vulnerable y es necesario que lo hagas por ti. A veces no es que las personas que proceden a abusar de nosotros sean malas, pero si están pasando por una situación de abuso de sustancias o drogadicción, a veces no se encuentran en la posición de ayudarnos, por lo que nosotros podemos seguir adelante y formar una solicitud de VAWA para poder obtener nuestra primera green card. Esto es en el caso solamente de que sea solo la primera green card. Muy bien. Entonces, I think we have a question for Donna again.
A follow-up
like
question?
How long the VAWA will around, regular time frame?
Yes. Donna, great question. I just mentioned some of the timelines for our current clients right now, but generally, VAWA will take anywhere from a year to 3 years. It is one of the longest processing visas. I believe it's because of the nature of it. It's a very sensitive situation. They do have to do some research. I see some question in Espanol. Ooh, so cool. Denise will read that one. But Donna, to your question, is going to be anywhere from a year to 3 years. But between that time, you can get your work permit if you file concurrently, meaning filing your I-485 together with the self-petition, because this is replacing the I-130. So there'll be no need for an I-130. You're going to do it all together. You can definitely work and live here, get your travel permit, all of that, essentially before the actual approval. Okay, so even though it's that long processing time, it doesn't mean that you're going to be stuck for 3 years. You're going to be free way before that time. Okay. See, gracias. Give me a thumbs up if this answered your question. I love it. Thank you so much for being here today. All right, I see questions coming on TikTok. Well, there's one from Facebook from, is it Caitlin or Caitlin? Let's answer that one. Denise, if you don't mind helping me read that one while I just check out.
We have this from Caitlin. Hi, Caitlin. Thank you for your question. Says, hello. Can you discuss the I-6001 bashing waiver? What are some good things to include to support the beneficiary to compete against vaccines and never being vaccinated besides childhood?
Childhood. Okay.
Will being vaccinated as a childhood affect this waiver? And also, what is good format language to write the letters? Of inadmissibility, hardship letter.
Caitlin, it sounds like you need an attorney. So reach out to us. Let's definitely talk to you about this, because a 601 waiver is not something that you're going to write in a format or a language and expect, you know, a positive decision. It is a difficult waiver to get approved, actually. We've had just one approved here at the law firm, because a lot of the people just end up taking the COVID vaccine anyway, because that's the main one that people are not wanting to get. Okay, so we got one approved for religious, moral reasons. So that was pretty. So just to answer your question, if you've taken a vaccine as a child, that will not prevent you from qualifying for a vaccine waiver, because I believe my clients already had vaccines as a child. However, what they're looking for is to see whether now as an adult, if you essentially have voluntarily taken other types of vaccines and now you're just trying to avoid taking the COVID vaccine. Okay, that's essentially the how we kind of put it together. Because when you take vaccines as a child, you didn't, those are your parents probably taking you to get vaccinated and all of that. So it's not anything that you knew about or consented to per se. But as an adult, did you consent to any vaccines? If you did, you're going to have to take all the vaccines required for immigration, because you already, you can't claim being opposed to just only one particular vaccine. It has to be just your general belief. Okay. So it wouldn't affect, to answer that question, will being vaccinated as a child affect this waiver? It wouldn't affect. The format or language is what you get from an adult. I'm glad you do. Caitlin says, I understand completely. She's still here. Thank you very much for still watching and getting this answer live. But essentially, that format or language, you need to contact an attorney to do that for you. You can reach out to us. It doesn't have to be us, but obviously this is my life, so I'm going to say reach out to me, because I can help you for sure. But just reach out to an attorney. Don't try to do it on your own. Okay. Very, very important. But gracias. Thank you for your question.
Yes, and I see we have a Spanish question.
I was just gonna say, I was like, I see an Espanol question, so let's definitely get into that one first. And
I think he's asking, how long does it take to prove the T visa derivatives? Like how long does it take?
¿Cuánto está? I only know
¿Cuánto tarda? ¿Cuánto cuesta? Is like how much? Like that's the price.
Yeah. Like, all about this money, okay?
Tardando.
Okay, so
how long is it taking the probation?
Probation for what?
It's like the approval. How long is it taking the approval of the variation of T visa?
Oh, aprobación means approval.
Approval.
Cool. Okay. Cool. How long is it taking for derivative? So derivative means, I guess, a family member who wasn't necessarily the main applicant, but the derivative, like your child, I'm guessing. So thank you very much, Alexis, for your question in Espanol. Super exciting to see that. But so most immigration cases, like I always say, take anywhere from a year to 3 years. Okay. that's just the max. I don't think anything has taken, even though I talked to someone today that has been waiting since 2018, but I'm just like, something is wrong. I'm sure there are mistakes or something going on there. It's not right, but it really shouldn't take that long. So when it comes to T visas, T visas, for those of you who do not know, is based on being a victim of labor trafficking, essentially. If somebody hires you and they don't pay you and they take advantage of you because you're an immigrant, it's similar to the VAWA Self-Petition, but this is relating to employment, versus VAWA is like family, T visas is for employment, okay? So if you've been in that situation and you file a T visa and you have children and you add them, you can expect anywhere from 15 months to 30 months. 30 months is basically almost a year, but that's like 2.5 years to get a final decision in terms of just being able to, I think it's going to be a deferred action. That's what you're going to get. And then after that, you're going to move on to applying for the green card. So it really does take a while. At this time, I think you can actually apply for your work permit, though. I'm not even sure how old your dependents are or your derivatives are, but if it's something about working and being able to live here, that's something you can definitely do while it's pending. But to get a final decision is going to be quite some time. Okay, these humanitarian visas are options to give you what we call a deferred action. It's not a immediate green card, right? Like a U visa as well. They just give you that piece to be able to stay here, heal from the abuse, heal from whatever situations you've been going through, because that's the basis for you getting this green card and then building your life again. So that's why it takes quite a while, but I hope that you can get something before that. I'm seeing here on USCIS website saying it can take up to 4 years, but I don't think that's up-to-date information, because USCIS has changed their timelines. I was actually going to share that in, maybe not in this live so we can answer all the questions, but I'll share that in another live where we'll talk about the new timelines that USCIS is proposing, given the fact that they are about to increase the form fees and all of that. So I think they're going to speed up the processing. But thank you very much, Alexis, for that wonderful question. Okay.
Gracias, Alexis. Entonces, muy bien. El tiempo más o menos de espera sería mínimo de 10 meses, un máximo de 3 años, pero generalmente son máximo 2 años y medio. Es muy probable que si tarda un poco más, haya algo que verificar alrededor de la situación, pero este tipo de visas humanitarias generalmente llevan un proceso un poco más largo, porque lo que se necesita es nada más ellos te están dando un permiso para que te puedas quedar, trabajar, sanar de la parte difícil que te tocó vivir y después puedas seguir adelante con tu vida. Generalmente los derivados van a tardar en aprobarse, pero sí tenemos como que un time frame. En la USCIS ya cambió sus tiempos, por lo que también vamos a hablar de eso más adelante. ¿Okay? Muchas gracias por tu pregunta.
Gracias. I heard that. Muchas gracias por tu pregunta. Thank you very much for your question.
Alexis. And we have
it.
another question, like how long after filing for a VAWA will they get the working permit?
Okay, is that on TikTok? I don't see that one.
Yes, I saw it on TikTok. Someone asked how long.
How long? Okay, would you get a work permit? So that question really varies depending on where you're at. And thank you for your question on TikTok. It is the earliest one I've seen was 5 months. This was for a client in California. So there's 5 months, there's been 8 months, but I think it really runs the typical timeline like you get a work permit regardless, because the way you're able to get that work permit is based on the pending I-485. That's if you do it that way. If you do the joint, together concurrent filing, okay? For getting your work permit through an approved VAWA Self-Petition, you're going to have to wait all the 3 years, get the VAWA Self-Petition approved, and then get a work permit. So that one is different. But if you want to get a quicker one and you're getting this through, you're married to a U.S. citizen, you're going to file your work authorization under the spouse of a U.S. citizen category, and that gets you the work permit a lot quicker than waiting for the VAWA Self-Petition to be approved. That makes sense? Give me a thumbs up on TikTok if you got the answer to that question, because that's a frequently asked question, because everybody wants, that's the freedom that we're looking for, right? So without the earnings, it's usually more difficult to leave the abusive situation. So yeah, great question. Thanks for that. Denise, I see another one on YouTube, but this is from Donna. Hello, beautiful ladies from Olive Tree. Thank you for being here.
Hi.
Olive. I see one from Donna, but we can answer that one and then start looking on
Yes, because
TikTok.
we have really good questions on TikTok, actually. Like
Nice.
Hitesh is asking a really good question, and also T Girl is asking a good question.
Okay. T Girl says, can you reapply for VAWA if it got denied due to lack of evidence? Ooh, T Girl, T Girl, T Girl. That's a tricky one because of the time that may have passed. Okay, when it comes to VAWA self-petition, you have 2 years. Now, it really depends. Are you still married to the abuser? Did you divorce? Because if you divorce, right, usually most people do because it's an abusive situation. You have 2 years within that divorcing time to file for the VAWA self-petition. Now, if you filed and, man, this is so tricky. You're still married. T-Girl, reach out to me. Let's talk about this because VAWA self-petition is a little bit different from just refiling. Like you can always refile if your I-485 gets denied, right? If your green card gets denied or your marriage green card gets denied, you can refile. I need to see your denial letter. How long ago was it denied? Because you didn't, I don't know if we could have done a reopen, like to reopen it with more evidence versus refiling. That's definitely a more tricky situation just because of the time that has passed, because VAWA is just very time sensitive. Okay, so please reach out to me. Let's talk about that. My number is on the screen. If you're on TikTok, is going to be in the link in my bio. And you filed in 2022. He took everything. This has been 2 years now. It's 2024. So I'm sorry that you're going through that, and that's not the best
situation.
scenario. Yeah. So. But reach out to me though. Let's see if there's something we can definitely do to get you back on track. Yeah. Maybe you might qualify for another type of visa, maybe a U or a T. So let's talk, okay? Kay says, does the psychological evaluation help with your VAWA? Girl, yes. That's like the number one thing. I think Kay was the one that asked the other question earlier because I saw the thumbs up. Thank you very much, Kay, for being here. Kay, of course. That's, in fact, for those people who don't call the police, because earlier in the when we're talking about the eligibility during the live, I talked about evidences, right? Evidence of the abuse. And for the most part, you use your statement. That's going to be the first thing because you're going through it. And if it's financial abuse or emotional abuse, you didn't call the police. So who are you going to call in that situation? Your therapist, okay? You're going to call your therapist and tell them everything. And then they're going to give you a diagnosis, going to figure out that you are indeed going through emotional abuse. You're suffering anxiety, depression, whatever it is. They can make that evaluation, and that will be amazing evidence for your case. So yes, please. Definitely do that. If you need a recommendation for a therapist, I have some referrals I can send to you. Just contact me, book a consultation with us. We help our clients get in touch with therapists in their area because it really depends on where you live as well, because they're all licensed in different states and things like that. But we help clients all over the USA, so we can help you wherever you're at. Okay?
Take advantage of the 50 off. This is a good time. You will be able to speak directly with Ivy.
Gracias. Very good point. It is ending this month in February. We're doing it for the whole of February. So take advantage and just book with me right now, $99 consultations, okay? That's the least investment you can make in finding out how to get your freedom. That's like the very first step, okay? So please, please, please do that.
And also share these lives. These lives, I think they're very useful. We're providing really good info for free, and everyone could benefit from this. Just share with your family and your friends so they can benefit from it.
Absolutely, yes. Very, very important. Thank you very much for that, Denise. So let's see more questions. Anyone that catches your eye that we want to talk about, you can feel free to point me in that direction. Denise, I'm scrolling. There's like so many of them are coming up. TikTok guys are amazing. Well, while we're doing that, looking on TikTok, let me see the one from Donna Bless that says, are you saying, okay, that's the latest one. Are you saying that when submitting my VAWA petition, I'm to use the I-485 form instead of the I-130? Donna, that's not what I'm saying, okay? That's not what I'm saying at all. The I-130 is a petition form for marriage-based green card, and you need an entirely different form for your self-petition, okay? I-485, on the other hand, is for adjustment of status. Is a completely different form as well. You need all these forms together. I think about 4, if you're doing a travel permit, you have 4 different forms, not the I-130, because you're not filing through marriage, you're doing it by yourself in order to file the self-petition and then get your work permit and all that. So if you do only the self-petition form, you're not going to get your work permit right away. That form needs to get approved, and it could take those 3 years, okay? How do you say 3 años?
De 2 a 3 años. From 2 to 3 years.
From 2 to 3, okay, from 2 to 3 years. See?
De 2 a 3 años.
De 2 a 3 años. We definitely don't want to wait 3 años to start working. See? You need to apply together. If you're eligible, I mean, you entered the USA with a visa, you have an I-94, all that stuff, you can do it. Now, one thing though, I'm glad I even brought this up. So let me just say this, and Denise, we need to definitely translate this because this relates to people who entered without a visa, okay? One great thing about VAWA self-petition, guys, we don't talk about this enough, is that for those people who entered without a visa, who typically are not able to adjust their status because they entered without a visa, they're able to file a VAWA self-petition and adjust their status just because they're victims of abuse, and that protects them from having to return to their country, doing the I-601A, getting the hardship waiver, all that stuff. That's one of the exceptions to that. If you are a victim of abuse or even seeking asylum in the USA because something is going on in your country, and that's why you enter without inspection, especially doing it more than one time. Because if you do it 2 times, if you enter without a visa twice, there's a permanent bar from you getting a green card. So, just keep that in mind. But if you are a victim of abuse or a victim of persecution in your country, you may be able to still get that waiver, file your humanitarian visa. That's the whole point of it. It's like it's a visa it's humanitarian. It's just, they feel bad for your situation. They're going to help you. That's just it. Okay. So don't shy away if you've entered without a visa and you may be, you have US citizen relatives and they're abusive towards you, taking advantage of you because they know you don't have your green card. Listen up. This is how you're going to get your freedom. Okay. Muy bien. Entonces,
Muy bien, entonces estaba haciendo mis notas. I was just placing my notes in here.
No problem. I just love how you say it. So that's why I'm going to start saying it too. Muy bien, entonces, okay?
Muy bien, entonces. So, esto es muy importante, esto es un punto a remarcar bien importante, porque las personas que entraron sin visa, que no tienen manera de ajustar su estatus directamente porque pasaron por el borde ilegalmente, o porque tenían una situación de desplazamiento en su país y llegaron aquí sin un papel correcto, no pasaron por inspección, un papel de VAWA, la correcta documentación de la solicitud de VAWA les puede abrir la puerta hacia su libertad. Entonces, es bien importante que sepas que aunque hayas entrado sin permiso a los Estados Unidos y eres víctima de abuso por parte de una familiar que sea ciudadano americano o residente permanente, la visa la petición de VAWA es tu camino a la libertad y no te tienes que quedar ni tener miedo. Realmente esta es una visa humanitaria y si es la primera vez que entraste, lo más probable es que sí califiques para el apoyo por parte de VAWA. Si ya es tu segunda vez, has entrado 2 veces ilegalmente al país y ellos saben, se dan cuenta, ahí ya hay una barra, ese es un límite, pero si es tu primera vez entrando, VAWA es tu mejor opción.
Sí, gracias. Thank you very much for that explanation. Definitely wanted that out there. So I still see more questions coming up. Let's see now. I think because I have a consultation coming up and I want to get into these questions. So Denise, are you able to kind of, well, let's just see.
I can see the TikTok ones because they're coming a lot. So I'm kind of trying to figure out which one could be more related to what we're talking.
Yeah, I see questions about timeline. Just join my lives every week, guys. We talk about this stuff every week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. If you're on our Facebook group, we're answering questions all the time. But for right now, I do have a consultation coming up. I actually was just kind of enjoying this live, and I'm like, let me just, I forgot essentially. So let me get ready for that consultation, and you all can, just look through, answer any questions that you can while we're doing this, and then the rest of them will just jump on again tomorrow and answer more. Okay.
I see one from Binish. Okay, I want to ask about, I didn't receive any updates from September. He filed or she filed it for VAWA and she didn't get any answers since September.
September last year. You mean no receipt notice, nothing?
She's saying no updates, what to expect.
Well, it's still going to take a minute. Now, there was one time I filed VAWA self-petition and it took like 3 months to get a receipt notice. That was the scariest time for me because I was like, what happened? But that, sometimes with VAWA, it might take a while. But September till now, if you got a receipt notice and all that stuff, then, you just keep waiting because it takes a while. Kay says, you ladies are phenomenal. Thank you very much, Kay. Hitesh says, what about my answer? Hitesh, what was your question again? I just see, what about my answer? I don't see a question. Or how long does it take for documents like biometric work permit after being married to a U.S. citizen? That's a timeline question. We answered that a lot during this live, Hitesh. That is going to take, and let me be joining my consultation. That is going to take, how long does it typically take, Denise?
We said 2 to 3 years in a maximum. So a regular time frame is 10 months. And the maximum should be 3 years, but we don't want to be waiting that long. So regularly, we will be waiting for 2.5 years, and then we will start to see how to proceed with the lawyer.
Recording in progress.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm about to go to my consultation. So it's either, we just kind of end it right now and continue on later. Oh, why did I leave the meeting? Or we can, just continue. Denise, if you feel comfortable answering some, you can, but otherwise I'm out. Okay.
Recording in progress.
Yes, this is, I think we are going to leave it for now, but hopefully the next lives we can continue with the questions. This is a lot of questions to answer coming by. Don't doubt we will be here next time if you can come earlier, okay? Just for us to answer for you. And on Fridays, we have the one-on-one with IFI.
Yeah. All right. Gracias. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you, guys. Talk to you soon.
Bye. All right. Hello, Emmanuel. Thank you for waiting. Thank you for waiting. I was just wrapping up. Good afternoon. Just wrapping up my live. Let me come back here so that we can end stream. Okay.